Darth Maul and Darth Vader were two of the most powerful Sith Lords ever seen in the galaxy, Maul renowned for his cunning and Vader his brute strength. The two were never to meet in single combat, however. But what would happen if the two did meet? But instead of butchering one another, they joined sides and attempted to take power for themselves. Now, firstly, I just want to say this rethink is going to be pretty far-fetched. The idea that Maul and Vader would ever join forces is insanely unlikely. Vader was very loyal to Sidious. Not only this, but Maul and Vader don't exactly fall into Sith philosophy, the rule of two. Vader was the most powerful of the two. Even Maul admits he could not defeat him in a duel. However, the idea that Maul would ever become Vader's apprentice is almost unthinkable. But for the fun of the theory, we're going to play around with this idea. Now, on Malachor, Vader and Maul never actually fought. But we're going to say that they do, atop the ancient Sith superweapon. However, the two decide to team up, killing Ahsoka Tano, Kanan Jarrus, and Ezra Bridger, or possibly keeping him alive to turn to the dark side. We do know he was quite favoured by Maul. The two could possibly be brought together through their hatred of Kenobi and their circumstances, which have put them in control of possibly one of the most powerful superweapons in the galaxy, the Malachor Temple. Maul convinces Vader that they are the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and as Sith they should be in control, not the countless Imperial bureaucrats Sidious puts in positions of power. For this reason, we're going to say that they make an alliance outside the Sith's rule of two. Neither is a master nor an apprentice. Just two Sith working together, so what happens? Well, firstly, they're going to need allies. Even two Sith Lords is no match for the entire Empire. Vader will likely be able to gain the loyalty of the Inquisitors. Although officially they serve the Empire, I believe most would probably follow Vader in a coup. Although this is only a dozen or so agents, this will instantly benefit them. And Maul, as we know, is very capable of recruiting and amassing a large following pretty quickly. He could possibly begin moving towards his old criminal roots with the Black Sun and Pikes, as they'd be very valuable allies. However, I believe with the backing of his new Sith friend and the Inquisitors, he would go back to Mandalore. Gar Saxon, the Imperial Viceroy of Mandalore, was once Maul's closest lieutenant. Now, many may believe Saxon would not turn on the Empire. However, he was very opportunistic, he craved power, and despite Sidious giving him control over Mandalore, his future prospects seemed relatively limited in the Imperial regime. And after witnessing the strength of Maul and his new allies, I strongly believe that Gar Saxon could be flipped. Again, this is only a theory, so its accuracy is definitely questionable, but let's just run with it. So this band of Sith rebels now consists of Vader, Maul, a dozen or so Inquisitors, and a few legions of Mandalorian super commandos. Not a lot, but very formidable. They also have the Malachor Temple, and it's difficult to say how this works. I mean, we know it petrifies all life, but the span of its power and its capabilities are foggy at best. Being classified as a superweapon, we have to assume it's capable of mass destruction on a galactic scale, possibly sending rays of dark-side energy to worlds to petrify millions. However, this still isn't going to be enough. Maul is well versed in trickery and tactics, arguably more so than Vader. For this reason, Maul would likely use the rebels to fight the Empire. They could give the rebels information on the Death Star and other Imperial secrets, meaning a rebel preemptive strike would be imminent. Meanwhile, the Inquisitors would probably be used to assassinate and kill members of Imperial High Command such as Tarkin. And despite the mutual respect between Tarkin and Vader, realistically Tarkin would not turn on Sidious and would therefore have to be dispatched. So we're going to say that the Death Star is destroyed by the rebels, whose attack comes far earlier than it did in our own timeline. For this reason, the Empire is in chaos. Not only is this rebels' offensive seriously hindering Sidious's ability to rule, but his high command are now being assassinated by mysterious Force users. As well as this, essential facilities such as shipyards have been raided and destroyed by rebelling super commandos. It's also very likely at this point Maul would begin to reacquaint himself with many of his criminal allies, only bolstering his forces. So what happens? Well, now that the Galactic Civil War is intensifying between the rebels and the Empire, they can use their superweapon. Again, we don't really know the capabilities of the Malachor Temple, but we're going to say it's used to target Imperial and Rebel facilities. Training academies such as the one on Vardos would be wiped out. Meanwhile, it's likely they'd use super commandos and their vast criminal networks to be used to raid rebel stronghouses. All this time, the rebellion and the Imperials are going to be preoccupied with each other. Ultimately, I don't believe that the rebels would be able to survive this war with the Empire and the Sith duo's forces, and would likely be incapacitated pretty quickly. Meanwhile, Sidious, unable to command effectively due to the loss of his commanders and assets, would be forced on the back foot. Eventually, the time would come where Vader and Maul would face off against their old master. And I honestly believe it would be a very difficult fight. But the duo would probably win. Even Sidious would struggle to defend against these two great warriors, both of whom use very different tactics. So what happens now? Well, the two are left with a fractured and devastated galaxy. They are feared by most. I mean, remember, they've petrified entire worlds mercilessly, not to mention numerous war crimes that have been carried out by the criminals, the Mandalorians, and the Inquisitors. The two would likely rule more like warlords than anything else, divvying up territories and assets to their loyal criminals and lieutenants, and it would probably be a free-for-all on all the innocents in the galaxy. However, realistically, the two would be bound to fight. Maul, we know, would not hesitate to betray Vader and vice versa, all of which would cause nothing more than more chaos and pain for the people of the galaxy. But what do you think? Could these two work together, and how successful do you think a union between these two Sith would actually be? Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share and sub if you did enjoy, as it's really appreciated and it helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @TheLoreGuy and tick the bell for regular updates. Thanks again for watching. I really do hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.